Welcome. This is Tax Pro Nation, the home of the independent tax professionals, where you can find a tax community, maximize your earnings, and live life on your own terms. I'm your host, Imelda Ledesma, COO of Pronto Tax School. In this episode, Andy and Glen will lead the conversation on health insurance strategies for self-employed clients. Is it a big issue? Are your Schedule C clients even concerned about health insurance?
Yeah, thanks, Glenn, for letting me log into your meeting here. We're doing, as a lot of you guys know, we're doing a series of training sessions on Schedule C mastery. So I know everybody on the call, has probably done a good number of Schedule Cs by this point. We're trying to identify for Schedule C clients, what are the points of knowledge and service that really put you head and shoulders above your competitors when you serve Schedule C clients. And so what we're going to talk about tonight, I think, is I'm interested to hear what other people think about it. I feel like it's a little bit underrated in terms of for self-employed people, how to handle health insurance and healthcare costs, not just insurance, but other healthcare costs in a smart way that actually is financially feasible and, tax smart as well, is a huge issue. I mean, it's a huge issue. If a lot of you guys are self-employed, I know Glen's been self-employed. I have as well. I think it's probably one of the biggest issues of being self-employed is how to handle your health costs. Any comments overall, Glen, on like how big of an issue that you feel like this is for self-employed people?
It's somewhat of a issue, but I don't think it's that big of an issue.
Because
a lot of because most of the self-employed people that I used to deal with, mostly in those days we didn't have the healthcare that we have today, but I just don't think it's that much of an issue because the self-employed people now also have like a spouse who might have the health insurance, and so they take care of it and let the self-employed person kind of just handle the business.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the situations where it does get handled in a pretty efficient and somewhat easy way when one spouse has benefits at work. So who else? So Glenn doesn't think it's too big of an issue. I think it's a rather big issue. Who else has ideas about or experiences like, is this something that you see your Schedule C clients being concerned about? Is this a big issue that's worth looking at?
Well, it's become an issue for me personally because I've had a lot of medical in the last couple of years, and it comes nowhere near to the value of being able to do it on a Schedule A. But if I can be able to set up some sort of an account where I can get that partly taken care of, it would be very valuable to me because I'm looking at, $8,000-9,000.
Yep. Okay. So that's great thanks for sharing that on your personal. And then it looked like Linda, you had something to add as well. And maybe David as well to kind of, to settle how important this is or maybe which clients it's important for. Go for it, Linda.
Well, I'm the one who really kind of needs to look at it because I am now completely, totally retired, and my only medical is my Medicare. And before, while I was still working, my dental and vision was through the employer, and it was not the premiums were extremely tiny when the coverage was extremely tiny as well.
Yeah.
But, I just had my Medicare, and when we were in the position in California where I still owned the home, I could use Schedule A. And so sometimes, depending on where the income was, I could actually take the expenses, but I could show them there. But now, my son owns the home. We're in Utah. My son owns the home, so I'm not itemizing. And so I really need, I've got my Medicare premiums and the supplemental premiums and the dental that I pay for myself. And it's like, excuse me, hello, where do I put that? I know I can't put it on my seat, but it goes somewhere else. And this is the first year that I'm actually playing it that direction. And gee, I might get even a little bit bigger refund if I can figure out where to put it. So I'm looking forward to this one.
Okay, so this might be really directly relevant to some of the people on the call. Like, I know for myself, one of the reasons I felt like this is such a huge issue is because I feel like I've just always paid so much for for self-employed health insurance. So because my wife is a stay-at-home mom, so I didn't have the option of getting insurance through her work at different times. So it sounds like it'll be relevant to the people on here. And then I think we talk a lot in the training courses and in the community of being able to kind of like listen to the conversations that go on in our clients' heads, if that makes sense. So kind of think about some of the things that they're thinking about. I thought this, there's a really good, like, if this is an area that either is directly relevant to you or something that you feel, your clients would benefit from some knowledge and some help from you on. This thread that I'll drop in the chat here, I think is a really good summary. It's like a bunch of back and forth of, and a lot of smart aleck comments also about the, if your spouse does not have health insurance through their spouse's work to cover the self-employed person, what does the self-employed person do? And so there's some really good back and forth in terms of getting into that conversation in the client's head, and is a good way to kind of see the clients may not be mentioning this a lot because it's not necessarily totally tax related, but it is an issue for the clients that it's an issue for, if that makes sense. It sounds like a couple people on the call are self-employed and will get something out of this as well. So that's kind of like my big picture, why I thought this was important to address this. That being said, some of the clients, like Glenn said, it's really not an issue. It's something that's already taken care of. So as we go through working with Schedule C tax clients, I think just understanding if there is anxiety there about this issue or not. And then if so, if there is anxiety, being able to maybe address that in some way while still not getting into out of scope work. So like, let's say you say something about these kinds of issues to a tax client, and now they start viewing you as the health insurance expert, and you start running all these premiums and this kind of thing. Is that something you want to do? Is that something you're licensed to do? All that. So I think probably, in my experience with working with a lot of self-employed clients, I think having a health insurance broker who specializes in self-employed health insurance is probably one of the most underrated, important referral partners. And this is somebody that actually will send you a lot of referrals to your tax business, I feel like. So a lot of us focus on, having a mortgage referral, a real estate agent or two or three, a financial advisor. But what about a health insurance broker, and not just any health insurance broker, but one who specifically can work really well with self-employed people? Is that a referral and a person or a couple people that you guys have in your network currently? And if so, what does that relationship look like for you?
Anybody? Go ahead, David.
Well, I just gave a thumbs up because I agree that, they're great referrals to have, all of those professional industries. So I do have somebody that did mine because when I decided to quit my job to do it full time, my wife also wanted to quit her job and help me with the tax business full time. So then we kind of came into that area of completely self-employed. and had to find somebody that could help, and it was a broker. It wasn't somebody that worked for a specific companies.
Okay.
And he refers me a ton of
With the
business.
service?
What's that?
Were you pretty happy with the service, would you say?
I think the big problem that I had was understanding the difference between, the exchange and then like a normal, normal health insurance, because he didn't really ask about my income and kind of where I fall on that. Being self-employed the first year, I feel like the exchange probably would have been a better bet for me.
Yep.
And he just assumed I was successful, I guess, which was great, but not necessarily the case the first year. So in that regard, I wasn't. But as far as him understanding how I could protect my family, that was very important to me. And the way he was able to relate and kind of identify our needs as far as our protection, then yes, it was extremely valuable.
Okay. But at the end of the day, then, as numbers wise, you may not have paid the lowest cost that you could pay. And so that for me would be that would be like a perfect example of why I say like this summer or sometime soon would be great to get somebody that can do both of those things, right? Can like get you the good insurance that you need for your family, and also make sure that you're getting the lowest cost plan, including looking at tax benefits, including looking at tax deductions. So when you kind of have like you get it done, right? So like David got this taken care of is one of these dad husband things that he did it and he got it done. But I think for the ideal referral for this is somebody that where you're like, wow, they really looked at all the different loopholes and they really like looked at lowering my actual cost. And so I think big picture, it's important to understand that since there's no more individual mandate penalty at the federal level, the insurance markets in general have they're starting to be these like slimmer plans that are aimed at self-employed people, right? So there's more shopping options, but it's very confusing. So it's like more options. The existing options were already super confusing. Now there's more options that are also tremendously confusing. So I think that's really something where and even the people that mentioned on the call that they're sort of in the market for a new solution. If we have somebody that really can address these issues as a health insurance agent, like maybe Rick Rojas, Glen, would be somebody that after this call, you could reach out and see if he might be a good fit on this.
Okay.
But I think this is something that is really, really important if you plan to work with Schedule C clients. The marketplace, from what we're seeing now with clients, the marketplace has become the default option, and in a lot of cases, the client can do it themselves, right? If they wanted to. So in terms of like the 80-20 idea of like, you kind of your middle or lower income, you're probably going to get a lot of it subsidized through the marketplace. So in terms of cost, that's probably going to be something to look at when you're looking at the client's actual net income and seeing like how the premium tax credit would work. Like a general rule of thumb would be the premium tax credit subsidy is going to try to hold the maximum health insurance costs at 8.5% of the income of the modified adjusted gross income. The credit should cover the rest of that for certain income brackets. And then obviously the at the more basic level of stuff that everybody that knows that does Schedule Cs is that any net amount that the client pays, right, is going to be eligible for an adjustment to income, in general. And so those are some kind of like the basics of not real specialized situations, but like 80-20, a client's not making a ton of net profit on Schedule C. They need to line up, decent quality insurance for them and or their family. The marketplace has become kind of the default first place to look, so to speak. There also are some catastrophic plans through the marketplace now. One thing to keep in mind that there's no premium tax credit that goes along with those, but the actual premiums may be less. One thing that I'd be interested to hear, that I have heard from other self-employed contacts, I'd be interested to hear if you guys have, are these healthcare cost sharing plans. There's different organizations, some of them like religious organizations, where they kind of band together and almost like self-insure to some degree as a group. Has anybody come across clients using that method to kind of protect themselves from some of the risk of medical expenses?
I do it myself.
Okay, you do it yourself. And what's your impression of it? Is it something that works well? It felt like it was the best option. It must have felt like it was the best option for you at some point, right, John?
Yeah, it's a healthcare sharing ministry. It's one of the exemptions back when there was a shared responsibility payment. And it's less expensive than traditional insurance. It's not an insurance. It can't be written up as insurance. And each program works differently. There's a number of companies that provide this.
And would you say it's mainly aimed at self-employed people, John, or is it kind of run the gamut?
No, it's for anybody, really.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not geared towards self-employed.
Okay, and is it like is it substantially lower cost? I mean, I know different plans vary, but is it like way lower? How does the cost reduction, like what size is it?
Yeah, they usually work on units like single or married, and then a third unit would cover a family regardless of the size. We pay about a little over $500 a month.
$500 a month for a family of?
Well, at the moment, there's 6 of us in the house.
6 of us. Okay. So like when I hear
it was
6,
more.
It feels like more, you said?
No, it was more.
Okay. Right on. So when I hear 6 people for regular health insurance, I think of numbers like $3,000 a month or something like that.
Well, to be fair, a lot of most of the kids are on the estate plan. What Connecticut covers for the income for the family size. So we still qualify for that sort of thing.
Gotcha. Okay. So you're kind of having a few different things.
It's really my wife and I on the other.
Gotcha. Okay. And is it something that the actual your access to healthcare services you feel like is pretty strong? Like you can do what you need to do?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
And I've got tax clients that do similar as well.
Okay. What we see on these is the people that I've talked to that are in them, obviously they chose them for a reason, but the ones that I've talked to at least are quite happy with the arrangement. They feel like they're paying less and still getting, a good solution. There's been a bill that was put up to make these tax deductible, but they're not currently tax deductible as of now, in the same way that health insurance is. We have the other, pulling back to the client. So Schedule C clients, we're looking to be better at serving Schedule C clients with this training series than every other option that they have. So that's like, at the end of the day, that's the purpose of this training series of videos. So with this issue, the HSA being able to get a deduction for making a contribution to the HSA account is a point of value that we can provide in the sense that it lowers their tax bill. So it's very directly related to what we're already doing for the client, right? We're not kind of out in left field talking about things that are outside of our direct wheelhouse. We're talking about, if you contribute this amount, you will have a deduction of that amount. And, for single, I think it's like 3,900, married 7,800, somewhere around there. So it's, pretty decent little potential deduction if the person has the money. Not all plans qualify. So we need to, before we kind of put this in a tax plan, for example, or certainly before a client goes and makes the contribution, they need to make sure that their health plan qualifies, and the health plans will actually say HSA eligible or not. The benefit of those is, deductible when you contribute, and then you get to watch it grow for tax-free and be withdrawn tax-free as long as it's used for medical needs. So really good option, and something too that is kind of, I would say, worth mentioning to a lot of clients as a way to get an extra deduction and also be able to cover their health, not just their health insurance costs, right, but their actual out-of-pocket medical. There's a lot of these marketplace plans or the different plans, right? One of the issues with them is I thought I was paying you guys health insurance so that you would pay for the things when I needed them, but then there's actually $7,000 deductible, right, per person, or some kind of figure like that where it's a significant amount. So HSAs can kind of step in and help with some of that potentially.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Imelda. Join us next week as we continue to share mini audio clips of the Schedule C tax prep process. If you are interested in listening to the full process and want to be part of the Dream Team community, please visit prontotaxschool.com or email us to support@prontotaxschool.com. Being part of the Dream Team membership comes with getting expert support, top-rated training programs, and weekly video live events. We look forward to having you on board.